podcast listeners, if you hear my voice right now, I need you to do something for me. I want you to take out your phone or on your computer, go to Apple Podcasts, search for Ask Your Oldhead podcast. You'll see my logo, my little picture, my little image there. Find the show. Please rate and write a review. It's a small thing, but it helps others find this work and find what I'm doing here. And it really, really matters, as small as that may seem. So if you can please do that before we get into the show, I would much appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Let's get into it. Peace. Peace. I'm Majestic.
My brother, Justice Rajee.
Man, so we're going to make a recording here, probably be the last, at least, of us together. Maybe, possibly, of this calendar year. And I figured we should close with a bit of gratitude and grievances, but more gratitude than the grievances. But, you got to have a couple grievances in there. But the gratitude being the high side, the top side of the eight, so to speak, or the thing we want to elevate the most. And I got one definition of gratitude from folks who've ever listened to this before. May have heard me mention the Virtues Project. And so I could give a definition of gratitude, or at least maybe not the whole card, but part of it. But just so we know what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people, we have a tendency in our current society to assume the words we use mean the same thing to the other people that we talk to. So sometimes give it a little detail. If that's all right with you.
Do it, brother.
All right.
Like Cousin Vinny. Do it, brother.
Gratitude is a constant attitude of thankfulness and appreciation for life as it unfolds. Living in the moment, we are open to the abundance around us and within us. Express appreciation freely. We contemplate the richness of our life. We feast on beauty. We notice small graces and thankful for daily gifts. In life's trials, we seek to understand, to accept, and to learn. Gratitude is the essence of genuine happiness. It is a virtue you can never have too much of. Gratitude is a continual celebration of life. That's a pretty good one. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Virtues Project. You know what I mean? So you got anything to add on? Just meaning the value of gratitude?
One thing that I've learned is truly the power of gratitude, which I think we can take for granted. I think it's like a child who like, how was it? And was it good? Right? Like, children learn very early. We all learn very early to say something is good and not really define what it is and not be present with something. And I think, learning about gratitude and even how gratitude shapes your brain and shapes the chemicals that you emit in your brain with your view of the world becomes really important. And I think being able to express what you're grateful for is able to affirm what you want in life versus what you don't want, which is what we've learned in the algorithm, is to be more aware and conscious of what we don't like, but not affirm what we do like and what we are grateful for, what we're in the moment for, and what brings us genuine happiness.
All right. So we're gonna do today is share a little bit of things that we want to express our gratitude for. You know what I'm saying? This in this last like I said, calendar year or whatever, however it suits you. And then like I said, a few grievances. All in the intention to be present in the moment, be appreciative, but also see where we going. I'll start off, and I'll start off with the one that would probably be I'd probably be remiss in not mentioning it, even though I've mentioned it on this space, and although this space does not necessarily reflect any type of specific nature as a like campaign tool or a public voice of me as a seated elected school board member. However, I ran for public office this year and was elected, and it took a lot of work. It was a lot of energy. It was a lot of personal angst, and a great deal of people. Besides the great deal of people who voted in the election, they voted for me. One love to them, but also, One love to everybody that participated in elections because I believe in participating in elections. You know what I'm saying? One love to y'all. Even if you voted for other people, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? You got out there, got involved in the system. To the degree that's what we need to do. Um, but really um the having about half a year now of actually serving, so going through like half a year, took basically from when I decided to run to getting elected, then serving, and the tremendous amount of support and positive words a lot of folks have extended, before, after, folks who, now on the other side, of the election, have expressed their support and or have reached out to offer, you know, offer something, what I'm saying, in terms of what it means to be seated in a position where people, have expectations, you have responsibilities, and being, I guess, an official public person in a way that maybe other parts of, at least since we, you know, um, stop, rapping regularly, which even then I don't know how. I mean, we were public, but I don't know how public we was. I mean, like, not like
Right.
nobody voted for you to rap. Anybody like, yeah, we had an
You,
election, you made
right. Well,
it.
you chose yourself, and then see how many people came to the show to determine
Right.
if you think the public had an appetite.
Right, because it's working out. It seems like people like us, right? But when I mean, we worked in the public sphere and in public services, most of our lives, and know that like it does mean something to be like publicly accountable, or at least to have the day to day presence that your actions, your decisions, bear some weight or scrutiny, bear uh, eyes are on you. You know what I mean? People are looking, and then I think the positive side that folks are hoping you're going to do a good job, right? I think that's the thing I want to express the most gratitude is like folks like, yeah, we think you're a person that could be trusted to do this, and we hope that you will do good things with it. So I just want to, shout out to everybody help me with the campaign. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if people want their names. I'm not gonna say their name. Maybe I say it later. We'll think about that. But one love, you know what I'm saying? I want to express this. Yeah. It's a big achievement. I don't know if I'm ever gonna run for any other public office. However, you know what I'm saying, I want to be appreciative of the moment. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, as the statement is said by every other person that runs for public office in the future, I think I'm good with my seat right here. And they'd be like, I think I'm the best person to be senator. I'm the best person to be congressman. But no, Guy, I just wanted to take a moment to congratulate you, because it is a big thing to move from being in the civic space to being in an electoral space. There are pros and cons to both, right? But there is a place where you decide to say, in the court of public opinion, whose ideas make sense and matter, and how can you put them into policy in whether it's school board, city, county, whatever have you. And as well as the school board being a place where a lot of your taxes are going regardless. Like, the school board's like one of the places where, people downplay it, but a lot of your money is going there. And, whatever you think about the product coming out, you're paying for it. Like you're paying for that product, or you're paying a percentage of what comes out of that thing. To say nothing about the role of education and creating creating a good society, right?
yeah,
So, I think your participation and willing to be a part of that sphere as well, the civic sphere, is a great, in your area, it's better off for you being an elected official.
yeah.
So the thing, and it's not the thing I don't know if I'm most grateful for it, but when I think about it this year, is actually my continued evolving and learning about the context of global blackness through travel. And the reason that this is important to me is that, being the unique thing about being black in America is like you're othered here. So you're so othered, you assume that your othering is about like being unique, and your othering is about what you bring to the table and being a freedom fighter or this, that, and the third. Then you go other places and you recognize like you're much more American than you think. You carry a lot more of that than you may think of. And I think, you know, this year and the past few years with the development of Afro beats, and that broader conversation, and just also the bigger conversation about migration, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what it means when people are moving. And obviously, there's a whole lot of challenges with migration, specifically migration of Black people and people from the African diaspora moving to other places. So I want to name that. Oh, when we talk about the African migrants who are coming from Senegal through Mexico, I mean through Panama to Mexico into America,
Mm-hmm.
which is a part of the migration story that we're not talking about,
Mm-hmm.
or Haitians having to go to Mexico to get to America now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but and what that means and how that is changing the world. And recently an article came out about how like there are more African speaking French now than like any other place in the world, and how Africa and Africans are changing French and what that means and what that looks like and all those kind of things. And I think as part of my learning, we learn how to truly make Black folks in America and all the things that we've brought to the table part of the conversation, but not all of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been used to thinking that our experience was the conversation versus part of the conversation. And I think we're being getting access to be able to have that conversation in a nuanced way back and forth via art, via culture, via music, for the time that we're in. So I'm actually grateful for that, because I think it'll actually strengthen the bonds of people and actually able to see people of the diaspora, um, and see the relationships. The FBA conversation and all those conversations, notwithstanding, but the bigger picture, right? So I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be able to travel and be able to see that in play, and recognize my part of it. And as we kind of work on different projects to expand that, I think that's a really important part of where we need to head as a people, and the role of Blackness globally.
All right. I appreciate that. And I mean, for those that don't know, Majestic seems to always know some stuff about something, especially as it pertains to black people that you don't know how he know that. And you know, and I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm never surprised. I've never, or was it, is it not surprised? Like, where it's like, oh, we over here, and, oh, that's where the so and so. But how do you know that? Like, how did you? All right, man, whatever. Man. It's reading books and using the internet for its intended
Listen,
purpose or
man,
something out here.
internet is your friend. It can be your enemy, but it can be your friend, man.
Right.
Like, and we should use it in a way to learn more about the cross currents that make us unique and make us us. Just actually was reading an article about a sister in Philly who has a bookshop named Harriet's Bookshop, and she is doing a project now in Paris where she opened up a salon and a pop-up bookstore in Paris dedicated to Josephine Baker, right? And
Mm,
for folks who may not know, Josephine Baker, left America, well, lived in Philadelphia for a year, didn't know that,
mm,
left
mm.
America, moved to France, was rumored to be a British spy. There's a whole bunch of shit going on,
Yeah, yeah.
complicated lives, right? Like which sometimes we also downplay. We'd be like, oh man, people for that lived in the 30s and 40s, all they did was like listen to the radio and like you know what I mean, like have 10 children. They had complicated lives, right?
Yeah, they was out here. They was active. They were doing
They're
things. Things were
super
going on.
active, man. And so just talking about that and how a sister that's doing stuff in Philadelphia is connecting these dots, if you will, to women of Black women in Paris and the experience of Black expats in Paris, and kind of what those things mean, right? And so, and again, in our generation, this is going to be a little bit of an opine here. I do want to give honor and respect to the burgeoning, largely Black women led kind of broad travel perspective,
Hmm.
but also you kind of see this vantage point where it's like, where do Black people travel? And it's like to islands,
Hmm.
right? And I want to say something wrong with travel. I want to state that. But I'm saying there's also a bigger kind of experience that the algorithm may kind of direct you to go places where you could take pictures under lights and on swings versus like understand the global context. And even if you do go to an island, are you understanding the global context of blackness
Hmm.
that's taking place there, especially when, you know, there most of the people on that island that are serving you look like you,
Yeah.
and so just that those complexities, and as you often talk about, just how do we wrestle with the complexities of something, and that doesn't always mean, go up or down on something, but it does mean we wrestle with the complexities.
Mm. Yeah.
So yeah, but more to come. But
More to come.
that's one thing.
All right. Peace. All right. So my first grievance. I mean, I got, I could be grievance all day if you let me. I mean, I try not to
I
be
know
a
you
hater.
can.
You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to do better, but I want to be productive in my grievances. So I'll actually stay in the theme of related, and just so I can say it, and then I can move on. But I think I might have shared on here at the I don't remember if we did and on our other conversations. But folks really need. I would really like folks. One of my grievances is just folks to find a pathway, to get engaged in some of our electoral realities. You know what I'm saying? Our electoral processes. Whether it's on a party level, if it's on a organizing level, it's on a, even just getting people registered to vote level, um, or if it's on, really building up the capacity for other methodologies or other means of organizing folks' voice and presence. And more, and I say voice and presence because sometimes I think we get we make assumptions about someone's voice being heard, leading to an outcome that is not always
Mm,
the case.
mm,
You know what I mean? And like sometimes, yeah, okay, we heard your voice, and it's like, yeah, but we still gonna do this other thing, right? Or there's other factors involved here. You know, um, I would say the classic error sometimes in folks framing and analysis is that folks make decisions due to a lack of knowledge, and sometimes it's like, no, they knew exactly what they were doing when they made that decision, right? Like, or they didn't consider that knowledge, important to that decision, or whatever the case may be. And so, like, being involved in some of these in our electoral, in your local politics, uh, neighborhood stuff. You got a neighborhood association that makes decisions about the park. Man, get up in there. Like, you don't gotta care most of the time. Those ain't offices that you got to get, taught at least not these days. Maybe back like in the 30s or 50s in Chicago and a couple other cities where they had real machine politics. You might have needed to get involved in order to be, to have impact. But in a lot of places these days, those local bodies, the water bureau, the if you got a parks district, all that's places where you can make a positive impact on what's happening in your community, without maybe feel if you feel put off by sort of the larger national conversation around politics, which I can dig, right? You know what I'm saying? It's
mm.
not always healthy. It's not healthy. It's not always healthy. It's an understatement. It's not healthy. However, the day to day life that you experience, more than likely where you live, is run by people who keep showing up to the meetings, and the data always shows that even people our age are not involved.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And or it's a small subset of people our age. And it's cool if you ain't really into it. I mean, I guess I could dig it, but I really would, my grievance is like, and present company included. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I said, part of my own motivation is that I've said I wanted to contribute. And so I had to put my money where my mouth is. And so therefore, I'm out here. sitting on a dais. I said, we have a whole dais now. We ain't have a dais. We had like these tables before, and then like we came to like third meeting, and it was a whole dais. It's crazy, but anyway,
What's
that's it.
appropriate for Overlord and Overlord? That's how
Oh,
it
see,
should
there
be.
you go.
I was just watching one of the manga movies, and they had a brother on the dais, so it makes sense.
So with that, that's my grievance number one. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. I need folks to get in the mix here, man. Get in the pool a little bit,
Real
put your toes in, do something,
and a real
whatever
quick
works for
thing
you.
about that. Real quick thing that I will say about that, and I get it, and I think systems have conspired to create a perfect storm when people don't care about things that really impact them, right?
Mhm.
Which is counterintuitive.
Yeah.
That like you wouldn't care about something where all your money's going, right?
Yep.
Like if you pay someone, if you know, depending on how much your tax burden is in a particular place, but let's just say generally speaking, you pay around 25% of your money, right?
Hmm.
You get $100, $25 of it goes to somebody else to do something with.
Yep.
So the fact that you give somebody a quarter of your money, and then if you get some more money, you give them more than a quarter of your money, sometimes up to 48% of your money. If you're not good at how to create tax shelters and shit, then you should care where it goes. So even if someone's taking one out of every $4 you make, you should want to know how that dollar is spent. And is it being spent to your interest? But through other things, we'll say like it doesn't matter. And also, even though you put good people in systems until you start to have the balance of people in systems. Because I think there's a conversation we've had around like systems thinking,
Hmm.
where you're talking about the system, but you still have to have good people in the system.
Yeah.
And you have to have good people representing the system. You have to have good people moving the system. And you actually have to have good people with the resource allocation and outcomes of said system. Because you could make wise judgments as a member of the school board, but someone is sitting in an office and the bureaucracy still has to do the thing in a way that benefits people well. So it's not just systems, it's also people. I think, obviously, importantly, people have moved like systems thinking, but you also have to move to people thinking. It has to be a mix of the two. So, I agree with you that people should be involved, if for no other reason, that if you don't think about how your money is spent, someone else thinks about how your money is spent. And without going into it, clearly, when you just see the situations going on in the world right now, we make decisions about where we send resources.
Mhm.
And that doesn't matter if you're saying the Ukraine, you could be saying the Congo or lack thereof. You could be saying Israel, Gaza, wherever you're saying it is literally we're spending billions of dollars sending resources other places. And we
Mhm.
should be thoughtful around that.
Absolutely.
And people are, and there's a tradition of Black folks particularly caring about foreign policy, which doesn't get talked about enough. But anyway, um, all right, man. I'm gonna have an unpopular grievance here. Letting you know. My biggest grievance is with thieves and carjackers. And I'm going to explain why that's my biggest grievance. In most cities in America, crime writ large is down. There's a couple of exceptions, but most
Hmm.
cities.
Hmm. Yep.
Personal theft, though, is up. And not just the actual thing that got taken from you, but the perception of how your safety in a space has been really impacted recently by personal theft and as well as organized retail theft, though obviously there's some other politics to that
Hmm. Hmm.
on both sides
Yeah.
because it's organized retail theft. When somebody goes in a joint and they steal all this stuff. Don't think it all just gets sold on the internet. All gets sold on that Facebook page
Right.
where
Right.
they lay the jackets out. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Seven, eight
Where
lady Jack.
Right. Like, you know what I mean? The words of old was a deeper, darker, more personal link. It's something else going on. It's organized retail theft. But the idea of you getting in your car and like someone coming up to you, taking you out of your car, driving your car, using it to do other crimes, and then crashing your car.
Yeah, it's pretty everyday.
It sets off a set of traumas that reverberate beyond just the crime you committed.
Hmm.
And I think we have to be real about this. And you know, it's unpopular because sometimes obviously we talk about not wanting to criminalize people, but there are people who are doing criminal things. So there's a difference between criminalizing you before you've done something and a person that has made a decision. Now, that is not your only decision in the world. I'm not defining you by that decision, but I also think it's important that we recognize that those decisions have impacts on other people.
Absolutely.
You know, there were times where there were other crimes going on, and you know, America responded to those crimes in very, very intentional and harsh ways. When people saw the beginning of organized, you know, kind of narcotics organizations, because they were organizations, they were not gangs, right? When you're talking about Big Meech and all of that's not a gang.
Hmm.
That's the mafia, right? Like that's you know,
Yeah,
in other worlds, that's the yakuza. Like there's a thing there,
yeah.
and we created harsh sentences for folks who were selling crack versus cocaine because we know you know black folks were selling crack, right? And also our brown brothers, like you know Puerto Rican brothers, and you know what I'm saying our 2 million brothers. So we know that occurred, and I think we're going to see a lot more harsh rules around what is currently happening. But I think we just need to really really be intentional in the community, and let people know that you know harming people in the way that people are being harmed, it's not okay. Taking
Yeah.
people's ability to take care of their families, to maybe do their job, right? When you steal someone's car, you could be stealing the methodology by how they make their money for their families, how they get their kids to school.
Right. And it's not a I think the thing that I imagine, and sometimes even, well, the the rationalization, like, oh well, well, one is there's one part where it's like, I don't care what happened to them people. That's their problem. Like it's almost like the idea, like, if you you get if you're a fish and you get eaten by a shark, you shouldn't have been out here fishing. You should have been a shark. It's like, but I'm a fish though. Like I'm just swimming upstream. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't come out here to like worry about somebody busting my back window out because they thought that, so they could take my car and do whatever with it. Like, I still gotta all the other things in a society that's so car dependent. Like, you really could set, you know, I mean, I can look at it from when, I mean, it was a different age. It was the 80s. However, the multiple times my grandma's Camry, you know what I'm saying, got nabbed. Thankfully never like in a carjack situation, just in a, like, they, stole it off the street. But that meant, she had to rearrange her life so she could keep doing her job. Like that, mom had to pick her up, and other people had to do this and do that to get her around till we figured out a solution. And it wasn't like it wasn't no reserve fund to protect
Right,
against that. Probably the thing that made it livable was the reality that you had enough family who were, stable, that we could help each other, right? And everybody don't got that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, there's other consequences to those choices and decisions. You know what I'm saying? And whatever somebody's going through, or whatever their thought process where they've decided, like, yeah, this is how I'm gonna get it. It's like, it's lots of ways you can get it that don't involve you doing what you're doing. And I would never look you somebody in the face, even though I would offer support and care to help that, person that's trying to exit that world. I'd be here to talk to him. I'm gonna tell him, though, that wasn't right. That shit you did, that shit wasn't right. Like, let's not, there's no sugarcoating it. Like, shit you did wasn't right, and at some point, it's gonna be on you to make amends about that. And I'm more than happy to help you. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I do stand by the idea that folks can recover. You know what I mean, from doing negative things out in the street and in the community. However, you do need to bear like, yo, I did that. That was me. I was out here busting, somebody mama window out because I wanted to go do some other foolishness or
Yeah,
whatever the
yeah,
case may
and
be.
like I
So,
said, I want to be thoughtful, and it's not about criminalizing those who, often find themselves with a lot of challenges, but also, again, let's be real, our people end up being the people who get impacted by this stuff the most.
mhm.
These aren't, this ain't robbing jewelry stores, and this ain't that.
Right, this ain't
You know what
Robin
I
Hood.
mean? Yeah,
This ain't no
and this
Nottingham
ain't
sheriff. Like this ain't
no,
this,
man. And
this
this
ain't nothing.
ain't, mug, the fact that a woman might not be able to walk by herself at 11 p.m. because mug might jump out the car and grab her phone and grab it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
these are things that just eat away at our society. And I'm not saying that those people haven't had their societies eaten away at,
right,
but you also, like, to your point, you got to take accountability. Are you part of the problem? And then when they drop the hammer on you, then now we all supposed to respond.
right,
But you might have had unknowingly had a role in terrorizing people, man. And and terror, and it's even in the context of its political sense, is making people uncomfortable with what might occur.
mm-hmm.
It ain't always what occurred; it's what might occur.
Yeah,
So, yeah, man, just I never want to fall into some of that kind of twisted nostalgia about another time that was never okay.
right, right. I just
So
thought, yeah,
not try to do that.
yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I mean, I'll say it to my own vantage point. It's like, man, like that came back because that was 70s and 80s. That was
Yeah, no.
don't leave nothing you can see in your car because somebody might bust your window out. And like for had that to be something that has returned, I mean, there's definitely larger, more complicated sociological factors about what are the the push and pull of illicit activity. But we'll say that for
Yes.
another day.
Yeah, that's another day, but I want y'all motherfuckers to stop this, man.
Yeah, cut it
You're
out.
making it
Cut it
uncomfortable.
out.
Yeah, settle it out, man. People don't want to go out, especially certain cities, man. You in DC, you in certain places, man. People on edge, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Y'all making it not cool for people to want to go out to dinner and shit, man. Like, you know what I mean?
right. Man, I just wanted to get a sandwich. I was gonna get a
Yeah,
nice,
man,
get a
cool the
plate or
fuck
something,
out,
and
dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody can't be cool. You know what I'm saying? And the jobs and opportunities that other people want get impacted because of the decisions that people make. But
yeah,
let's move on to your gratitude.
gratitude number two. All right, let me think. I had down here. I'm gonna just go with this one because I mean it's been a feature of the year. But the brotherhood this year, man. I mean, from present company, and the things we've been talking about, things you've been doing. I just got back from seeing our good brother Ali Asha down in San Diego. We had a great weekend. Great reconnecting, being in person, but also talking about the things that we want to do together. Our other brother, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Knowledge Divine. You know what I mean? The moves, waves he's making out here. And we lost, dear friend and good brother, Sharky earlier this year. It started the year and um, the appreciation for the time you have together to me is I'm thankful for. You know what I mean? I'm happy about it. It serves me, it feeds me, helps me stay kind of centered on the things that I like, really want out of life. You know what I mean? Um, Even if I'm alone, I don't feel alone. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, all right, stuff is busy, but let me
Well,
let me
I
call.
think it's interesting. It's like you could be by yourself, but you're not alone, right? Because
Yeah,
I think there's a difference in being by yourself
yeah,
and alone, right?
yeah,
Like, we can be by ourselves, but there's a bigger sense of togetherness
yeah. And
that we're intentional about doing. So yeah.
absolutely. And so that really has been it's been a real, and as I tell folks, I got friends in many walks of life. You know what I'm saying? So even, amongst, the brotherhood I have here, I got other pockets, you know what I'm saying, the people that I socialize with and connect with and are meaningful to me. And all of those relationships, as a person who's I'm tipping my hand a little bit on my second grievance, um that has outside of the first half of the year, it's pretty much I kind of took a social media sabbatical to kind of assess, like, how do I what is this space, this idea, this such feature of our current life, of like sort of connecting with people and sharing, like, is it, what does it mean, is like, the time that you the jokes in the group chats, the the messages you send that are are most meaningful to that particular person because of the relationship you have with them, right? And the history that you have with them, where they'll like, if I send you certain stuff, you'll get it immediately, like, you know what I'm saying? If I say get the jelly, you know what I'm saying, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you know what I'm saying, which will not be mentioned. You know what I'm saying? So you had to be there. You know what I'm saying? As they say, you had to be there. Like, it's like all of that stuff is what makes life worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I just really want to stay in that appreciation, like, of being
Oh
together,
man.
spending time. You ain't see that one coming, did you?
No, I did not see that one.
Right.
Bam.
Bang. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I wanna center that, in the middle of this conversation. It's like the brotherhood, staying connected. And I think particularly in terms of, I mean, it's a very real reality and something I want to lean into in the next year, and discussion around men and men's health is like, a lot of these kookamamie wackadoodle, I don't know where y'all get this stuff from, provocative language, podcasts, and storytelling and writing that's out here. A lot of times me be like, yo, man, where you got some friends, bro? You got somebody to hang out with? Process? What you need, man? Let's go get a sandwich. Let's go get some wings, man. Come on, man. Let's go hang out, man. Because, like, you see, like, you need to sit shoulder to shoulder with somebody, and let your energy flow. And having access to that is something, though, when because it's hard. It's hard sometimes, folks, to have long term friendships. It's hard to maintain connection. And so I'm very, very, very appreciative, you know what I'm saying, of all of the brotherhood and relationships, generally my larger relationships, but I want to center in on, like, my brotherhood with, like, a lot of the men in my life, you know what I'm saying, that are my good brothers and friends and compadres, you know what I'm saying. We go out here,
Comrades.
comrades, you know
Uh,
what I'm saying. So yeah.
no, just to add on really quickly. One, I 120% concur. I think it's meaningful. There's a study I gotta verify, right? Because you gotta verify shit on the internet now. But there's supposed to be peer reviewed studies that talked about the quality of your relationships at 50 has a a qualifiable correlation to your health at 80.
Mm.
Meaning that those who find themselves engaged in broadly healthy relationships at a certain time live longer. And we know that, right? Like, we know the fact that, like, people, quality relationships, even if they look different than maybe we all understand them, people live longer. Even if your uncle was in the basement, it was love there, right? Like, you know,
Yeah,
whatever happened at a certain time happened, and he's in the basement, but he gets a good plate, and he's loved, right?
yeah, absolutely.
And so, just that idea of the meaningfulness of men being able to have relationships with men that do not compromise men's relationships with women,
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
or
that's a
vice
good one.
versa.
Yeah, nah, that's a real one there too.
Right? Like, men being able to have quality relationships that also allows to have quality family relationships, and vice versa, because the algorithm produces conversations that goes towards one or the other. The algorithm produces, like, bros over hoes,
Yeah.
right? Or that a podcast would do be like, when a strong woman comes into your life, brother, you'll be shaken. You're not gonna know what to happen. She's gonna make your life different. You better figure it out. And he starts whispering and shit like, yo, what you know what I'm saying? Like, but again, it's a dumbbell. People like things on opposite sides of the dumbbell.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of the red pill stuff, frankly, came out of stoicism,
Yeah.
like the art of manliness and some of that stuff, which is like for stoics, but people don't put it in context. The stoics sat with each other. Like
Mm-hmm.
the stoics didn't develop ideas in isolation, even though they were stoics.
Right, right. They hung out with each other.
They thought about the shit and came and talked to each other about it
Yeah.
for a long time and tried to arrive at the best solution. Our structures and systems are not suited towards a long term outcome of dialogue. Even when we're trying to receive information, at best, it might happen in a minute and 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have a rational conversation in a minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah,
And so, thank you for bringing that up because we're stuck in an either or context in many communities
yeah,
that is unhealthy and creating good brotherhood and good relationships writ large across gender, across age, across time is the not so secret to health and wellness.
yeah.
Uh, so, so my second piece of gratitude is actually something kind of people could see as Flintstone-ish at this point, and it's connected to my first one a little bit, but books.
Mm,
Um, I'm grateful for the reemergence and reestablishment of the idea that books matter.
mm,
Because books are not just books, they're also a process. There's a process of sitting down, being quiet, taking in information. And you're taking in information that doesn't require, like, it's not sound based. I mean, and it could be, and there are ways that Audible and those things are really good ways to get information in a condensed manner, right? When you're traveling or different things, right? Just as podcasts, current thing we're doing, right?
mhm.
It's great, but it shouldn't necessarily replace you reading
Yeah, yeah. It's like
or talking to somebody else.
yeah, it should be
Right?
right. You should have go talk to some people
Yeah,
live
just because
fire,
you
as they
listen to
say.
us
Like go
doesn't mean
back
you
and
shouldn't
forth.
talk to nobody. And just because you're listening on Audible as a valuable way of taking in information, also there is there's an explicit relationship to actually reading reading characters on a page
Mhm.
and processing them. And so I'm grateful that that medium has reemerged, right? Um, uh, into the way that I was able to go into a Barnes and Noble in Philly the other day, and like one Barnes and Noble's gotten like a makeover. They become like actual other bookstores that people actually like now, and they don't look like Harry Potter and shit in the Seven Kingdoms. Cause you know Barnes and Nobles look like Harry Potter Seven Kingdoms, like
Yeah, yeah. They
ooh.
look was getting outdated. I say the one that's closest to me like closed in the one building, and I didn't know if it was just going forever, but now they've reemerged on the other side of the shopping center and just like in a box space. I ain't been in there, but it looks different. You know, like okay, you
And
still out here kicking.
interesting story that the guy that runs Barnes and Noble now, and not Nobles, I understand for all my brothers and sisters who want to put S's on the back of shit. Um, but sometimes it's just not there. It's a guy that ran, I think it's Bloodstone or Bridgestones. It's one of the largest bookstores in England.
Okay, okay.
And when you go to London, the bookstores don't look like they look in America. And you become very clear. One, because they're not selling chargers. They're not selling lighters and shit like they do at the front
Oh,
of
like
Barnes Noble.
front area ephemera. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Get
like
your USB charger and
yeah,
and
they're
a
not
key
selling this.
ring
They're
thing and
not
a
selling the variation
headlamp.
of candy at the supermarket.
Yeah.
they're just bookstores, like for real. And this guy who's doing Barnes and Noble now has really taken the global understanding of bookstores and changed from Harry Potter to a more updated take, and you can really tell that in other cities people are responding to that. But I'm grateful for books, the ones I want to call out, and some of we've discussed on here. One is Crook Manifesto, which I'm early into by Colson Whitehead. Colson Whitehead is an amazing writer for folks who haven't read his books. Crook Manifesto was about like the 70s, kind of like a family story that intertwines with a crime story, but not enough that you think it's a crime novel. Like it's not Power or some shit.
Mm,
Um, he's just an amazing writer. You should check him out. Big Ideas by Rajiv Shah. He worked at the Gates Foundation, then he worked at USAID, then he ran Rockefeller, and runs Rockefeller Foundation. And just talks about how big ideas take place and how do you actually make scalable change. Because we often debate that conversation.
mhm,
We want to make real change. Well, there are actually established methodologies for creating scalable change.
mhm,
But you don't do it just by talking to other people saying we need to do it. What are the examples of how it was done or how people failed in doing it and having that conversation? Um, early digging into it, but the Upcycle Self by Black Thought.
mhm,
Um, it's a fascinating book for me because it actually is part of a childhood memoir, not just for him, but for me, because he's talking about a time that if you're from Philadelphia or Delaware Valley, you remember. And
mhm,
he's talking about that experience and how it impacted him, and actually having his elders also share stories, which I think is a very really important part of books. Not just are you saying something, but what about the people around you? What are they saying about what they experienced around you? And I think it's people say what they will, but I think it's good that like rappers are artists, not just rap, but artists are having these conversations about their lives. And then the last one is, Lucky Me by Rich Paul. Messiah is reading it now, and it's interesting to see him read it and his take on it. His take on a very Rust Belt experience out of
mhm,
Cleveland. Shout out to the land.
mhm.
Um, and just all the things that he went through in his family experience. And we've talked about it before, but I just think that these mediums matter.
Mhm.
So I'm grateful for the fact that these mediums with authors, original authors, authors who are diverse, right, are telling unique stories in ways that will be here for us to engage.
All right. Wait. All right. Keep an eye on the time. I'm gonna do grievance, and then we'll get back to the gratitude to close out. So this one is a little more. All right. So I don't know what kind of sled they got at your gym, but at the gym I most often go to, they got the one with the wheels, right? And they got wheels and they got levers, like supposed to increase the resistance. And it's always 8 plates on that joint. And
Right.
people is lying to themselves. They ain't that strong. They're just not. I've used that sled and it's cool. Like you get the strap, you do like the backwards pulls, you push pull, like it's a functional movement, woo, 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 woo. But I feel like the wheels and the amount of plates that stay on all them plates stay on there because people look at all them plates and be like, I'm not taking them plates off. So I'm just gonna probably jack my back up,
Yeah.
pushing
Yeah.
some shit I'm not actually strong enough to push.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fuck my knees up, I'm gonna make my tendons hurt because I don't want to take the mother weights off. And I look at it, and COVID, a lot of stuff happened. I don't know how your gym is these days. My gym definitely there's the before COVID. I mean, the gym more or less is still cool. They did update some other equipment in there, but it's parts of the gym they're like, yeah, man, COVID kind of put a whooping on the gym space, and we don't really know where we're going from here. So, and I say that because somebody should go, hey, man. take all every day, take all these goddamn weights off this sled because somebody gonna come in here that need that they went you know they doing physical therapy and they say yeah use your sled at your gym to do your pushes or do your back you know you do the back pedal joints you know what I'm saying get your posterior chain working and it's like yeah but there's more weights on there than I weigh so I'm not moving them, right? And it's a lie. Some of y'all people ain't that strong. Then the worst part is somebody always piles up like five more plates next to those plates, and then you
Next
look
to it.
over
Yeah.
where the bench
That's
press is, and you can't find no
and
45s. You know
and there's
why?
no
Because
and
they
it,
all sitting over there by this dumbass sled. So yeah, I'm salty. I don't
yeah.
like it. And y'all is lying, and most of y'all ain't that strong. Stop playing games on the damn leg press machine too. You ain't that strong, dog. I seen it you. I seen your highlights. You know what I'm saying? All right.
You seen they one max press?
Yeah, over there with
They one
78
press
plates
max.
on there. Like, man, I'll get in a horse stance, man. Where's just, you ain't strong, baby boy. You playing, you there jacking your, oh man, my back hurts. Yeah, you know why your back hurts? Because you're doing way too much weight. You can't stop. You know what I'm saying? Do something. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really sore. Get on my nerves. Go take a class. And if it's a physical therapist out there or somebody knows kinesiology, like justice the wheel ones are better than the sleds that just roll on the ground, that's cool. I will accept input from a knowledgeable source. But right now, this ain't about that. This is about how I feel. It takes the damn plates off. And another thing that's attached and adjacent to that is the folks that like at least in my gym they get like they kind of look at like you know you start moving stuff around they like look at oh well, why are you moving that I'm like because this ain't the exercise I'm doing and I need to move this out the way so I can do what I need to do. Doggone it, you got a problem with that? All right then, like everybody be cool. Don't start nothing, won't be nothing up in here. You know what I'm saying? I got a cushy deal at the 24-hour fitness. I'm never giving up my membership. You know, I got in early back in like 20 years ago. They damn man, we can't get this dude out that plan at all. Nope. But y'all are gonna do something about this wheel sled and 8 plates on it. Like, come on, man. That's a lot. It's a lot of weight. And everybody shouldn't be in here to be able to move that. So there it is. You know, trying to make
So
America great
what I want to
again
say,
through fitness.
well, and I think I think an important part about that is how are our gyms reflecting the best of our information,
Mm-hmm.
or are our gyms reflecting the predilections of a particular set of people?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are our gyms actually about functional movement, wellness, right? Like broadly. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't think most of them are, frankly. I think some of them create space for that, but even, they might say that because they have one or two TRX handles, so you can do body weight, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
or they got three places you can do sets of pull ups, but the pull ups are right next to the other machines that other people want to use, so you really can't have a space just to do pull ups.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying, if you were talking about functional movements and body weight movements and things that weren't, you know what I mean? Not even to talk about, again, the things we know now about stretching and how bodies should move and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The spaces are still for a relatively discrete number of people who work out a certain way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I think that's just someone will figure some gym will figure it out. I mean, I think to some degree the soul cycle equinox world for rich, largely white people have figured that out, right? The juice bar in my gym has closed down,
Yeah.
right? Say so there's something you take from that. Uh the pool is closed.
Oh, pool ain't come back.
Pool ain't come back.
Damn. Yeah,
Right?
pool
So
finally came back in mine, but then also they now have pretty much like a maybe 4 or 5. Basically, there's a lane that they do a kids class like all week in the evenings. You know what I'm saying? Which is clearly a like, yo, we need to make some more money. we got we got this kids thing. They get that lane. They be in there doing the kid. And the kids need to learn how to swim. So I ain't mad at
Because, yeah, yeah, especially, my father and my Uncle Blue, you can't tell them shit about black kids. They know how to swim. And I think, and I'm spending brown, our 2 million Latino brothers and Native brothers and sisters, because we know the conditions around us, and especially sometimes, whether in pools or even sometimes in our proximity to beaches,
it. Hmm.
and we be splashing around, don't know how to move with the current. So that being the case, but yeah, I just think there's a bigger space, like, where, there's the gyms still reflect a certain kind of a person that leaves 5 plates by the sled, right? The
Hmm.
gym reflects where all the plates are now. My gym, all the plates are over there by the bench press, right? Or they're over there by the squat rack,
Yeah.
because that's where people are doing that. My grievance, my second grievance, because I kind of got my grievance off by the but the damn podcasters. Um, my second grievance is actually how 50 years of hip hop was treated. And here's my thing behind why that's an issue. No matter where you got there, if you operate off the premise that hip hop had, multiple elements. So if it's rapping, if it's DJing, if it's graffiti, that then just you kind of broaden out to slash art, right? So it started with vandalism. Let's not call it nothing else. Vandalism, and
Social
then now,
protest, brother. Social protest. They had to let the world know they was alive. You know what I'm
hey
saying? You got to
man,
see me. I'm out here.
you know what? That is a very academic take on cornbread writing on a damn elephant at the Philadelphia Zoo. I get you. I'm
I
just saying
know
cornbread wrote on an elephant.
he
I
did.
know.
And
Yeah. No.
yeah. I mean, he might have thought later, like, yeah, that's why I did that. I don't know if which one preceded the other. You know?
Yeah, I don't know if he was doing that when he was writing on the elephant, when he was cornbread going through different neighborhoods, let the other gangs know that he was there. But whatever. And DJing, right? I mean, and dancing, and um, and I'm gonna touch on that in a second. But, like, if we say that those things were the foundations of this kind of art form that you called hip hop, writ large, only one was really discussed.
Hmm.
All four are global, but only one makes money for record companies.
Hmm.
So what we ended up talking about was the one that made money for record.
Right.
So with that, we get a skewed view of, one, all of the ways that the art forms developed in their own ways, right? Because do you really have a Hebrew Brantley today if you don't have hip hop art? No, you don't. You know what I mean? Do you have some of the great artists? Do you have some of the producers? We talked about. Do you have the relationship? Or another book, The Life and Times of Jay Dilla by Dan Charnas.
Hmm.
Everyone should read it. Do you really have some of the jazz stuff and the global lo-fi sound today if you don't have Jay Dilla being Jay Dilla and doing what he did with music? So there's so much bigger elements that came out of 50 years of hip hop than VH1 and the Grammys. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
And I think we got the short end of the stick with being able to think about the global reaches of music, of art, of sound, of movement, right?
Yeah.
Breakdancing had, depending on your take on it, less than a 10-year run of 50 years of hip hop dance and movement, right?
Yeah.
Even if you assume breakdancing started in 75, which I can't account for that, but let's just assume by 85, 86, nobody was out with cardboard, right?
Right, right. Like the people who were like dancers was still dancing,
Yeah,
but like not
yes.
just general. We went
It
on to
wasn't
other
just general
dances.
people. It wasn't just general people.
Yeah, we went on to other social dances
It
and
was
you
other
know, it wasn't
movement.
that. Yeah,
So, but when people be like 50 years of hip hop, watch some breakdancers. Hold on, man. There's a whole bunch of set of other movements that people started to do, and that's when we giving respect to the breakers. And those dance forms influence other dance forms. Don't misunderstand me. But
yeah. I know. I understand what you're saying.
like we just didn't take it, and we didn't take what gave birth to hip hop here from a post industrial society to how did it impact Britain? How did it impact Africa? How did it impact France? How did it impact Turkey? How did it impact all these places to produce musical forms? And what do those things look like today? It became a representation of a relatively small group of people curated by folks who were in the industry today. And don't get me wrong, did I like seeing Black Sheep do The Choice Is Yours? Yeah, I did. Do I like seeing Jazzy Jeff and Will Smith doing a brand new funk for my own childhood benefit? Yes. But there's much more to 50 years in the influence of an art form than it being broken down to that.
Yeah.
Like to say hip hop has a global impact and put on Akon,
Hmm.
like, dog, he grew up in Jersey. Like, he grew up in Newark. What are you talking
Listen,
about?
man, Jersey's a nobody knows what goes on in New Jersey, baby. You can.
Shout out to the bricks, man. And don't get me wrong, no, in Jersey doesn't nearly get enough credit. Like that whole Latifah thing with Naughty by Nature, with Latifah, with Poor Righteous Teachers. They did the whole thing about, Jersey's definitely in the house. And everybody forget that Biz is from Jersey.
Right.
Um, so but it's like, yo, you can't say Akon, like, yo, Burna Boy does some variation of rap, and off what you could probably say is the biggest global artist in the world does some variation of hip hop.
Yeah. It's
You can't be like global hip hop, Akon. Like, come on, dog.
it,
You could go get MC Solar or somebody from back in the day. Come on,
right,
man.
right. Oh, snaps, so long for real. But I think that's the wildest thing about it is that I feel like it almost to me, and I think we might have said this or may have stated it in another space, but it feels like it just sort of happened and it really didn't happen with us. Like it wasn't like, yo, let's go. I mean, and then just the whole idea that you're gonna do a whole 50 years of hip, and maybe in some places, I think what's the name of them, with the museum up in the Bronx, you know what I'm saying, is trying
Right.
to do some community level stuff is connected to the conversation, right? Like how we gonna we have a you know it's weird, right? Because like when I like the like there's actually I got it saved on my what's the name to watch. There's like a conversation with Carl Banks from the Giants, like Rakim and I think Chuck D or Fab I read about like hip hop and the team and the Giants in the 80s and they got starter jackets on and like there
Oh
was
yeah.
a like there's like a real which is interesting like wow Carl Banks who knew I
Yeah,
mean
because Carl Banks was outside.
yeah he's out I mean yeah, we know Lawrence was outside he was too outside. But anyway, right. But it's like an aspect of this where it feels like it went on without us. Right. Like it didn't like nobody had to like go to a community center. I mean, well, one, they've destroyed most places. Community centers are not like community centers were in the 70s and the early 80s and where like it was actually like, it's a rec center where you pay for classes now, most places, as opposed to like I can just go down to the community center and like hang out. Like they give me a free lunch and then I like
Right. And,
make
and
some
there's
art.
people and there's people there who are caring people.
Yeah.
They have my back, they support me, but they also will be clear with me about what's expected in the space.
Yeah, yeah. And like, it's a different world now. And um so like that's my biggest sort of itch with it too. It's almost like, 50 years of hip hop feels like it should be a 4 or 5 year program of various levels of engagement and outreach and mixing the arts and policy and public conversation and dialogue and community gatherings. And it just feels like we got some Grammy signs, we got a couple stage shows. I mean, there's a tour. It's all seem like stuff I gotta pay for to go to. It ain't something that's like, yo, we going to the 50th, the 50th gathering at this place. It's somebody, this some different, local artists have been supported to bring the artists from their community that, we may not know well, but everyone there knows, like, together to like do stuff and like, eat turkeys or something. I don't know. Do something that's not just like a commercial experience. And so it's kind of tough. You know what I mean? So I dig that. I dig that. It's not optimal, at least to say the least. I guess the book's still open. Maybe somebody can, who knows? We kind of pick 50 out of the air, so we can just keep going. It was like it's 50.
Yeah, shit. Because right, that's the whole debate. Crazy Legs said, "I don't even know where y'all got this name. I don't even know where y'all got this date from."
You know what I'm saying? Like we just keep going. We like, nah, it's still 50 years hip hop. What year is it? I don't know. It's still 50 years. Party ain't over. Like, like the guy songs. Party ain't over. You know what I'm saying? So word up, word up. Uh Gratitude, closing gratitude. I had a couple, and one of the things you start off with a lot of like, yeah, I'm gratitude about this, gratitude about that. Um, but I'll give a shout out to my neighborhood wildlife. So I've sometimes remarked about the deer that annually hang out in my yard and just sort of do deer things. But it is a actually a it's quite a privilege. Like I wake up, my morning routine. Once I get all the way out to bed, I get up. I kind of do the. I'm 47 now, where you sit on the side of the bed for a minute before you can stand up, and like put your feet on the ground, think about what's about to happen. You know what I mean? So I do that. Then I walk across and I open my blinds and I look down, and sometimes in the yard is 2 to 3 deer was two, and then usually like babies, the does or whatever, and then they get bigger
Yeah.
over the course of the year. And it's like, man, like they look at me, I look at them. Sometimes they look at me, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just down there eating grass and doing deer things. But it's a vantage point and a place to have in life that I need. I really appreciate that I have that like level of consistency one in my life. I wake up I can count pretty solid and waking up tomorrow and like seeing that, well, they're not, I don't know where the deer go for this like time of the year, but they go somewhere, they don't be in the yard no more. I don't know. I don't know if they go down in another nook and cranny of the
Probably go down
area.
to the valley in
You know what
another
I'm saying? They go
pocket.
down the valley, right? Like they over there in another pocket. But it's as much as it's about the deer, it's also about like being, I'm just really appreciative of like the life that I have, and the frankly, the privilege that comes with it, the comfort that comes with the appreciation of having stability. I think we both empathize, but like coming from multi-generational working families that like you need to be out there, make sure you got a roof over your head. Like you've heard some variation of that as a motivator, as to what you're supposed to be making, what's supposed to guide your decisions, right? And so, to the degree that it's true, right? That you have like, I can wake up, I look out my window, I see, I live on a hill, and I look west, I look east rather, so I see the other side of the kind of valley between my house and the other side of the community, and there's trees, and then there's some deer standing amongst my fruit trees, eating grass, dropping poop. You know what I'm saying? Having a great time. And I'm like, all right, man, one love to the deer. You know what I'm saying? This is beautiful. Squirrels eating apples and stuff. It's wild stuff. It's like Wild Kingdom back there. You know what I'm saying? That's why I don't need, multiple reasons why I don't need pets and not interested in any. So don't try to give me one. I'm good. Because I like to see the wild creatures. You know what I'm saying? I look out the window. It was like a falcon. in the tree the other day or
Oh
something. I
shit.
was like, man, look at the falcon up there. He about to get falconating on somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's good times, hummingbirds.
Is that an indicator or anything though? Like the Falcons by? Like is that just like if that means it's coyotes or some shit by too? Like
I don't know.
they
I
just
think
don't
generally
Falcons
when
just
you,
don't show up.
I think generally if you can see the predatory birds, it means you got a healthy, what's it, small game. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
eat the
That's what I
rodents
was thinking. Like
and the rabbits.
that means they somewhere they can just grab them and keep moving.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's a you know, to have a sense of consistency and stability in your life is something to be appreciative of because a lot of folks in the world don't have that. Or it's tenuous, you know what I'm saying, what they do have, or they've recently, there's somebody recently, losing that stability somewhere in the world, even nearby, you know what I'm saying, far, near and short. And I think it's really uh day to day being appreciative of whatever, good, those good things, the things that give you a sense of like movement, a sense of growth. Um, I got probably some quick hit gratitudes after that. You know what I mean? I can run down, but I really, 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 I wake up, I work from home, so a lot of times I spend most of my day between here and upstairs, downstairs in the kitchen, and I do like a triangle. I'm like, I'm gonna walk upstairs, I'm gonna walk back downstairs, I'm gonna walk back upstairs, I'm gonna walk back downstairs. What you doing today? Walking around in circles because
Right.
I got five
In
and
my
four.
triangle
Right.
offense.
I got 4 or 5 meetings on the Zoom. I got some stuff I need to do, right? Which means it's not talking to people. And then I gotta, and then I'm like, oh man, I need to go breathe some oxygen. And it's like, oh, let me go look at there go the deer. They outside again. What's up, fellas,
Right.
ladies,
I need to move. That's right. That's right.
however y'all like to be referenced out, I don't want to be picking for the deer. So um yeah, man. So that's gonna be my closing gratitude. Just that's the day-to-day joy of, life well lived, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Vis-a-vis me and my neighborhood ungulates. I think they are. They ungulates? Are they?
Yep.
Yeah, I think those are ungulates. Word up. There it is.
So my third one is much more hollow, shallow than yours. I'm a shallow Hal over here and shit. But it's applicable. The third one I actually thought about was New Balance sneaker collaborations.
Mm,
And I will be open with my challenge around this. I know enough about the head of New Balance to know he funds a lot of questionable shit from my political perspective. I also know there's a lot of support for black designers and other creative designers globally out of the New Balance shop.
mm,
You have to walk with that tenuous take on the world, right? And as black folks, we often have to walk with that tenuous take on the world. But I wanted to say, because I think there's something to be said for as you get older, like, and with the sportswear phenomenon, and then with the changing phenomenon, and now the baggy suits in 1992 is back in style. If you got an uncle that had a suit that, they went to go to the jazz club when they went to go see George Duke in 92, tell him to bring it back out. It's back, he's back in effect.
it's back.
Yeah, you can just wear just a black shirt underneath a brown suit and it's okay again. No one no one wants you to be sartorial. No one wants you to have the entire Italian sartorial look and have a handlebar mustache and everything be white like you're in Copenhagen, right? So that being said, the creative stuff that comes out of New Balance, the sneaker collaborations, the ones they did with Action Bronson, with the 990s this year, the ones they've done with Joe Fresh Goods out of Chicago. Shout out to the brother Joe Fresh Goods, who's done amazing collaborations, community-based collaborations with New Balance. Um, then also Pata, a crew out of Amsterdam, a company out of Amsterdam is huge globally, doing a collaboration. And just really interesting stuff. I mean, in the past, New Balance has done their DMV shoe, acknowledging that basically DC is responsible for their global growth,
Mm,
which if you grew up in the 90s on the East Coast, you knew that anyway,
yeah.
right? Like
Right.
you knew that. But if you didn't know that, it's important that they have been a supporter of the DMV area around shoes and making sure that that's recognized. And so I just thought, like, that's where like fashion and design and those kind of things keep things interesting. And I think we're at a space where, companies, Nike, listen, if y'all want to send us some Jordan 2s, knock yourself out. But I'm going to say this, like, at some point, how many times can you keep redoing the same shoe? And you could argue that about the New Balance too. But I just think the doing the partnership with the designers gives people a way in a
Mhm.
unique way, right? It gives them a chance to see and be seen. Then I think they do a pretty good job at it. And they do a good job of having a shoe that an older man can wear. And my son, you know what I'm saying? Like, me and Messiah aren't both wearing Jordans. He might wear them, but I ain't.
Mhm.
Then it's some shit I'm aware he ain't gonna wear. He's like, I'm not wearing that dog. Right? Like, yeah, I'm not, yeah, that's an old head shoe. New Balances are probably the only shoe that we can wear together that we both think are applicable to our lifestyles, which is saying something.
Mhm.
So, on the fashion tip, style tip, New Bal, I like what y'all do. I don't know about the politics of supporting Trump and DeSantis, but again, you know, we often we have to
Yeah,
we have to
I
navigate these
mean,
things.
where we go, it's yeah, as well. I mean, in reference to my earlier grievance, get out there and get engaged. You know what I'm saying? They are,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
people
saying?
people who have an interest,
People got
people
interest.
who people who have an interest in saving money and not, they have an interest in things, and sometimes it gets just that one dimensional. There are people who have an interest in particular parties that are just that one dimensional.
Yeah,
Um, so,
shit.
but yeah, man, no, this was a good year. I mean, salute to you for your accomplishments. It's almost like a thing where you do, as a testament to the fact that you're doing great things, you can't maybe record quite as much because you're doing shit.
I'm trying to get this together. I'll keep
You know what I'm
making the
saying?
audio
So
art, but it'd be like, oh man,
yeah,
gotta do a thing, gotta go to something. I gotta
but
uh
the civic stuff gets there. But I think, I'm looking forward to an amazing next year with some of the things that we have on the agenda, man. And just wanted to say, tip my crown to you for another great year of being able to communicate with people who see and think about things. Sometimes like we do, and sometimes different.
yeah, absolutely. And only footnote I'll add to that is like, one view may like make some time to be reflective of what you got going on. Especially what's going on well. Like, and it's okay to be aware of your grievances. And I like the idea of a grievance because it's like, I mean, I could be a curmudgeon and sometimes a hater. Who knows? I bear witness to that. But like, that's strong language. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it's like I got reservations about that or this, and I'm trying to sort those out. But really being clear about what you're appreciative of, what's going well in your world. Um, that the gratitude piece is really it's where it's at, man. Like all this other stuff in terms of motivation or like why or what. It's like, I think have some love and some gratitude, some kindness, some care. I think goes further. And I would encourage folks to tap in. It's gonna be a busy 2024. You know what I'm saying? 2023. You know what I mean? I got a bonus gratitude to my turntable over here that I think I need a new needle or something because it's mad fuzzy when I try to listen to a record after not listening to a record for a while, and you get used to doing something working when you don't use it in a long time, then use it and it works.
Yeah.
You be like, yeah, it's probably fine, and it's like maybe it's finally starting to break down, so I got to deal with that. But shout out to these bins. I cleaning up my trying to make space in the house and cleaning up the boy Wonders old Legos so I can put them in store somewhere he can access them whenever he get around to that. Shout out to uh Miles Turner of the Indiana Pacers because he built with the Legos. You know what I'm saying? people was trying to clown that man, but man, you play with you build with them Legos. You know what I'm saying? I don't play with Legos, I build. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here creating great projects. You know what I'm saying? I ain't just fiddle faddling. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to all various forms of creative productivity and very also especially if it helps you to be well. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So um yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we save less later, you know what I'm saying? I don't start doing
Yeah, man.
big old
Good to go.
rundown, you know what I'm saying? But don't take no wood nickels, you know what I'm saying? Don't do too much on New Year's Eve, you know what I'm saying? You still gotta work in 2024.
Right, you still got 24 hours after that. You got to go to work on, if not the second, the third.
Third.
Get yourself together. Get it together, brother. Get it together, sister.
All right. So with that, I'll say peace.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Good Brothers. Thank you to my good brother, Majestic. Good Brothers is a part of the Ask Your Oldhead podcast. And what a year. I'm going to say what I always say. You can support the podcast by listening, rating, and subscribing wherever you listen. You can also search up Justice Rajee on Patreon and become a patron. You can also still go to either the Etsy shop or just go to askyouroldhead.com and click on shop and buy a sweatshirt or something. And, all those proceeds go to cover the cost of keeping this on the internet. It's been a busier year than expected, so I hope closing with some primarily gratitude is a value to you. The year, oh man, 2024, we're going to be on one. So be there, be ride with us as a go-to finally, or, whenever, to the next stage, what will be and what is. But in any event, I'm going to stop rambling and let you get on with the rest of your end of the year and, be well. Thank you for listening. Peace.